Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tony Wilson.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time of season at Wrightsville Beach, the springtime, the warm temperatures we had, God. We thank you for that. Tonight, I ask you to be with the board as they make decisions for the town. Help them be good stewards of what the town has, the Lord. And I ask you to be with them. What's your name and pray, amen.
Amen, Tony.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda for the public comments. Each speaker is limited 3 to 5 minutes. Citizens should sign up at town hall by 5 p.m. the day of the meeting. The board is interested in hearing your concerns, but you should not expect that we will deliberate or take action on the subject matter that you brought up. We've got, I believe, one person who has signed up. Is that right, sir? Mr. Evans, front and center, please, sir.
It's 601 North Channel Drive, Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. I come to the board once again, asking what is going on with the wastewater study conducted by Withers Ravenel, especially where it concerns North Channel Drive and Coral Drive. Those areas flood very badly. I understand that you're doing some stuff over on Channel Avenue right now. But when you get ready to set your budget, next coming months, I expect from the monies collected from the town over the last several years, $60 per property per year, that we're going to be able to get some help down on that part of Harbor Island. I look forward to it, especially doing something about the French drain that the town installed. It goes nowhere there in the 500 block of North Channel Drive. Second of all, I want to talk about parking for a little while. This time of year, parking has been crazy. I heard Zeke and others talk about it. I'm chair of the grounds at Wrightsville Beach Baptist Church, and we're quite challenged. We're getting ready to do major signage overhaul. People, you give them a privilege that turn it into their right to do as they choose. And, I've had it up here as the Methodists, and I know the Catholics and the Presbyterians have for a while, but I'm getting ready to do something down there. It's ridiculous. But I want to talk a little bit about Pivot, and in the past we've had some selective traffic enforcement, and I'd like to let y'all know, as a citizen living on a narrow street, North Channel Drive, as most streets that Shore Acres Development put in, the Lee family, most of these streets are narrow. North Channel Drive in particular, about a third of it is one way. And but these contractors, double parking, folks parking on the sidewalks, blocking the sidewalks. North Channel Drive, we luckily have sidewalks on both sides of the street, but they're completely blocked. 2 or 3 instances on every block where people walking have to get out in the street. So I think we have ordinance on the books of the town that I'm well aware of, where you're not supposed to block sidewalk, and they're choosing to ignore that. And it's getting to be a dangerous situation. It has some speed bumps installed on North Channel Drive, thank goodness. That's slowing down people a little bit at those speed bumps, but then they'll speed right back up to the next speed bump. But if we could talk to these folks living down through there about parking on the sidewalk, it would be very helpful from a safety point of view. Then not even get into the landscape trucks and trailers. I don't know why you need an F-350 with dualies and a 40-foot landscape trailer when you're mowing a yard that is more narrow than that rig is long. And they choose to double park right in the middle of the street sometimes. And when I was a kid in Winston-Salem, it's much hillier than this place. I would tow my bicycle, my lawnmower behind my bicycle when I went to cut grass. But this is getting ridiculous. I've seen both in the past when you're parking, and I've seen our good police officers. They do a great job, but they'll go right by these guys that are double parked and not, ask them to get out of the street or park those vehicles somewhere where they don't impede the flow of traffic. I'd like to see more enforcement action taking place. Another thing that I have brought to the city manager's attention and others that would listen to me, thank you, Hank. The credit card fees charged to residents when they go to get their hang tags and their reentry decal, not a tax decal, but a reentry decal, okay? And for years, we've been doing it with credit cards, and now all of a sudden, we're having to pay credit card fees. I don't know if that was okey doke by the board. I don't know if it's oversight. I don't know if y'all paid any attention to it or not, but that's just the cost of them doing business. And most of the people that are having to pay fees, because when you use pay by phone and do all this other stuff, there's not a credit card fee, even if you use a credit card to park over there. But if you go and buy a tag or re-entry decal, you have to pay credit card fee. And I'd like for y'all next year to think about that and look into that. That's not quite right. And I know Scott's a great guy. Scott Biggs is a great guy, but I think they can do business and make money without charging our citizens that extra little fee. $5 is not the point for two hang tags and two decals. Pay a $5 fee. $5 isn't the point. It's the point of the fee, and never having to have done that in the past. Now I'll get on to the dead-gum re-entry decals. And I know our former mayors, David Signotti and Bill Blair, they always said that these are re-entry decals and not tax decals. If I pay my ad valorem tax, I'll pay my wife's ad valorem tax, and she owns that property on Channel Drive. And I get to the point of where I have to go and pay $15 till April 1st, and then $30 after April 31st for a tax decal. That just flies in the face of what's right. How come that tax goes up 100% on April 1 anyway? So I'd like for y'all to think about that going forward as well. And I know that y'all are thinking also about South Channel Drive Park and some you're thinking about changing the ordinance down there. I don't see any sense in changing the ordinance. Once again, selective enforcement, since parking has come into play March 1st, even before then, normal citizen or visitor or anybody that wants to go to that park has not been able to park down there because of contractors. Not only contractors parking there, they're like double parking their trucks. So like on the south part of that park, there'll be 4 trucks on those parking spaces, 2 on the other. A town citizen, a town visitor couldn't possibly go down there and park. And yet, our hardworking police officers and probably pivot parking, if they were to take one of their golf carts down there, they'd ride right by, even though it's clearly signed on both sides, parking for South Channel Drive Park only. You won't see one human being in that park, but you'll see plenty of contractor vehicles. So I'd like to see that enforced too. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate everything that you're doing. It's a great town to live in, and we need to work together for the common good. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. These are items considered routine to be enacted by one motion without discussion, but if any member wishes to pull one for more specific discussion, you can do so. Everyone had a chance, I presume, to review the consent agenda. Do we have any questions or any items we wish to pull? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Here, a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Thanks. Next item will be a public hearing for consideration of a zoning text amendment to section 155.7.15 parens E and 155.7.15 parens G, allowing for rental of recreational beach equipment. Who's presenting that? Mr. Wilson.
Mayor Mills and members of the board. This request is for a text amendment on February the 5th, 2021. The Planning Inspection Department received a text amendment application from Mr. James Todd. He is the authorized agent for Cape Fear Beach Rentals LLC. And this text amendment was to chapter 155.7.15E and also chapter 155.7.15G. The petitioners requested that this chapter of ocean-related business activities be amended to allow for other beach businesses who have acquired an annual permit in accordance with the section to be allowed to rent beach equipment. The background on the current ordinance, our current ordinance right now allows for beach equipment rentals of chairs and umbrellas by hotels and private clubs located immediately adjacent to the beachfront. The proposed text amendment here that we're looking at would allow for other businesses other than hotels and private clubs located immediately adjacent to the beachfront to rent the equipment to the public. Under departmental review, there was no comments from the police department. The fire department's comments are same as they were last time. They had some issues with maybe blocking the emergency lane. I just wanted Dave Baker, that was his only, this is Glenn Rogers' comments. We did reach out to Dave Baker. And he said he was okay with it as long as they didn't block the emergency lane. And Shannon's comments are the same too. They're okay with it as long as they don't block the emergency lane. And then planning staff comments, this original ordinance was written for existing hotels and motels on the beachfront to rent only chairs and umbrellas to their guests. Staff is concerned that this text amendment will open up problems with multiple vendors renting various equipment to the public along the entire beachfront. This text amendment here, 155.7.15E and 155.7.15G did go to the planning board in our March meeting. The ordinance this text amendment was adopted 7-0 at that meeting. Attachments, you have the original text amendment application and addendum B. At that meeting, Mr. James Todd was not able to attend. I think there was some misunderstandings of the time limit, so he was not there. We did proceed with this text amendment, and it was denied 7-0. And like this for your consideration. And then once we get, after you review this ordinance number 2021-1827, a decision has got to be made on that. Then we have two others I'd like to review after this. If you got any comments or questions.
Anybody any questions for Tony?
So we're gonna review
Well, since the,
the text amendment that the planning board turned down, and then you're gonna present two new ones?
well, no, the same two, I think, the next two are a little bit different, so.
Okay, so then we're gonna review two.
Yes, yes.
That have or have not been reviewed by
These-
planning.
The planning board, staff's recommended ordinance. The planning board, after they discussed, they denied this one. They started talking about the other one and they just tabled it. They didn't move it anymore. They said that maybe they'd reach out to the Board of Aldermen for more guidance. And the second one here, it was an amendment to the original that the planning board did not see, but the applicant requested this to move forward.
Who amended?
The attorney, Mr. James Todd, amended it. So we moved it forward to you. So,
Tony, I hear what you're saying, but I want it known by everyone that this is not how I wish to proceed on a matter like this.
Right.
If you want me, and I'm gonna do what the pleasure of the board is, but to come up here with multiple choice, if not this and this, and that, not gonna do it that way. Now, again, the board wants to move forward on any one of these options, that's fine. But I'm just letting it be known for the record, I am not in favor of that approach to any of you out there paying attention. Okay. Now, on my agenda, it says recommended options. If I'm hearing no recommendation, I'm just hearing options.
Right.
Just want to make sure we're clear on that.
All right. Mr. James Todd is here tonight to discuss those.
Well, get that.
Okay.
We got the public hearing. Now, Mr. Eads.
Yes, sir.
Procedurally. If there is an inclination, one of these options is send back to planning board for review. Why would we want to sit here through a public hearing if we want to send it back to planning board?
I don't recommend that you do. If you're going to send it back to planning board, I'd like the applicant's input. One option we could have is to open the hearing, immediately recess it, so we don't have to re-advertise it, send it back to planning board, and then come back next month. Okay. After the planning board.
And what we would send back to the planning board is this proposed amended amendment.
Yes, sir.
All right. So make sure I'm following
And
this.
I think, to your point, Mayor, about more than one option, I think the message should be send us a recommendation.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You have a problem with spending closing. I do not. Can you get that?
Absolutely.
You have it over the.
Well, we're not there yet. I mean, I'm just kind of setting some framework here. This is kind of an unwieldy deal. Well, come on, Sam.
Just, I'd like him to acknowledge that's okay with him if you proceed to go that route on the record, so the minutes reflect.
Okay, if I take my mask off.
Yeah, sure. Feel free.
What Mr. Eads suggests procedurally is fine with us. As a practical matter, there's some urgency for us to get this matter in front of you. We also completely respect that you need to consider something that the planning board has behind it. The matter that the planning board tabled, the proposal the planning board tabled, as I understand it, was prepared by staff and included several conditions. The revision that my colleague James Todd submitted after planning board is very similar to that. What needs to happen here is a dialogue between the applicant and staff to work through those conditions so that the planning board can consider the text amendment with conditions that have been approved by both the applicant and staff. And then you all need to subsequently consider that. If there is a mechanism that makes it possible for you to consider such a proposal at your meeting in May, that is exactly what we would ask you to do. And what Mr. Eads has proposed procedurally would achieve that and therefore in favor of it.
So it's from a town lawyer. Thank you, sir. All right. Any comments or we can open the public hearing?
I feel like what we need to discuss is the final text amendment as it would be presented to us. And after it has been vetted out by the plan before we hear it.
I agree with that. It's confusing about which is which. I mean,
I don't have an I agree with on it all.
So what, majority of them, that's three of them right there.
Well,
Mayor Pro Tem.
I just noticed repeat what's been said.
And that also saves the town the cost of having to re-advertise as well.
Which is not unimportant, but I also want them to know that they're getting full and fair right here. I'm not trying to short circuit anybody. Okay, so in that respect, we open the public hearing and then
Recess it till maybe with the applicants' consent.
you got it. Okay, all right, well, we will now open the public hearing on this consideration of zoning text amendment
Then recess it.
and
I'll make the motion.
I'll say motion second, all in favor to recess it, and we'll bring it back on after it goes back plan.
To the May
Board
meeting, or Aldermen meeting.
which means everybody's gonna have to operate here.
Absolutely.
Good,
We're here and just that.
okay, excellent. That take care of this.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the regular agenda. Mr. Owens?
Yes, sir, it is. Good evening. Basically, this is a project to move forward with some of our buildings over here that are banged up. And it's to basically, consider a contract with, John Sawyer's firm, to look at the Free and Rough Center, and putting 2 individuals over there for, permanent parks and recs, the maintenance office. Take this building over here that's, out of commission and make one side unclimatized storage and the other side record storage. And basically look at the tennis courts, and there's a break room back there, make that one office for the parks and recreation maintenance supervisor, as well as a small break room there. So basically what I'm recommending is move forward with resolution number 2021-2236, approve a contract with Sawyer Sherwood Associates, the amount of $20,000. Obviously, the attorney will take a look at those contracts, and we also probably get some appraisals to look at the valuation of all the buildings.
Anybody have any questions? I want to talk about this a little bit with Tim.
Yeah, I mean, so this does not include the fees for the architect of this building.
Not yet. I have a proposal for that, and there's some other things I need to work through before I can get that. I hope to have that back to you next month, not the
Okay.
following month.
All right. Next month will be great.
Tim, is that reading
But some
correct?
appraisals that I probably need to look
Yeah,
at.
okay.
So, I've talked to the appraiser. He's giving me a proposal, and I'm gonna probably turn loose tomorrow. So I don't know all that takes.
Just the resolution as written reads, contract attached to exhibit A, which doesn't give room for final negotiations, so we might want to. Hear a motion that is subject to.
Well, basically what we're doing with that is sort of placeholder. This placeholder is to that final contract.
I just as written, it looks like exhibit there is a final contract.
Typically, when we don't have a final contract, that placeholder sort of track it over the years. And again, whatever you look at.
As long as we're on. the same
We are definitely on the same stage. There's also a capital project orders number 2021-539.
When we get to that point, I think the perfect thing to do is make a motion and make a condition upon. But I think we may have some more questions.
Yes, are we gonna get the opportunity to look at the plans?
Absolutely.
Because I was in there the other day, I'm just gonna make a comment, I was in there the other day, and I, not Katie, but, Chris was saying that, you know, y'all were in discussing whatever, you're gonna put two permanent offices, kind of in. Okay. Right, and if you did that and you put like one or Katie or Chris in the back office, there's no light, there's no, are you gonna put windows?
We looked at, we talked about that the other day. Basically, they're gonna come up with a proposal floor plan for all 3 of these. I'm gonna ask them to come back to talk to you guys and present them.
Okay,
And then, you know, if you like the proposal,
Okay.
you know, if you want to see something different or whatever, we'll have options.
yeah,
It might be a workshop setting when we do that.
okay, I'm just anxious to see some windows
Sure.
in that area, and then also maybe even not a floor to ceiling, but a bigger window where, not just, I don't know if Katie, not Katie, but Chris would sit there or not, but,
We talked about,
but,
we talked about a bigger window.
A bigger
for Chris
window,
work,
so she
and
can-
we talked about a window back here. Where
yes.
Katie's, everybody has a little bit of natural light.
Right, and that way, I mean, they're supposed to be looking at all their park space, so they need to be able to see it. So that's important, I think. That's all I got to say.
So I want to see who's coming to get you.
Yes.
Jeff, you got any questions? Yes, sir. Hey. All right, then I will make a motion to approve resolution 2021-2236 as proposed, but conditioned upon final agreement on terms of contract.
And we consider budget amendment 2021-539B.
Yes, I was getting to that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's fine, sorry, that's fine. Add that, or include that motion as well. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we're good, thanks. All right, item B, changing out approximately 900 water meters.
Does anybody know what a unit is? A unit of water?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just pay the bill. So we've been talking about this for, you know, probably 3 years, at least 25 years, but we've been talking about it pretty hard for probably 2 to 3 years. We've been changing out meters in-house, so it's time to really ramp that up. I think There's about 900 meters that need to be changed out, and then everything at some point will be converted over seamlessly, we hope, to gallons, so that everybody sort of understands what they're using as opposed to having to bring out a calculator and figure that out. It'll also convert everything over to touch read, so we've got, 900 manual meters out there. They're subject to not being able to see them or having spiders in there, people not entering them in properly. So basically, we'd like to move forward with this. There was a capital project set up for lift station 4, and we ended up coding that to a regular budget, so there's money there, sitting there for this project. Total about 450,000. Quote on this was 284, so money's there for the project. I'd like to move forward with the project, not to exceed 300,000. This organization has worked with Tyler, so they've done the conversion 4 in different places. Obviously, with ask the town attorney to review final contract as well.
Who's the vendor?
It's since their census meters up. It'll come to me in a second. I just can't remember it now. I find it now.
Well, they local, are they local folks?
They are not. I think I don't know where the firm is. Long term here for the bidding part.
Okay.
But they're basically the sales arm for the meters that we use.
And these meters have a little gizmo so they can walk up to it and like point it at the meter and
Not
not read
the
it.
900, yeah, most of them do now. So I mean,
Yeah.
again, that'll be time savings with
Yeah.
staff or after readings.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what the plan is, yes, sir.
Will this complete conversion?
It will.
There'll be no more
It's
meters.
about 3,000 meters we have out there. All those are, the newer touch read technologies and
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
one question. So when we convert from these units that would be using all these 40 units to gallons, is this going to create a increase in people's water bills? It's going to be,
should,
okay,
it'll be
okay,
calibrated,
okay.
based on what we charge now. Only if you decide to go with water bills.
Right,
So,
right.
There'll be a little bit of public notification and education, I think, but I mean, I certainly understand gallons a lot more than I do.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk English.
Talk English.
Me, that's probably me.
One of my children's games, sorry.
So anyway, I'd like for you guys to consider moving forward with the project, and the town attorney will finalize with that contract.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Got a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor?
So,
Good. Move forward. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the timing's not great for the summertime, but we figure we need to get it done.
Yeah.
We'll do what we can to make it, as good as possible.
Item C, off-street parking at South Channel Drive Park. There's ordinance 1846.
It's been discussed already, but there has been some concerns with the 4 parking spaces at the South Channel Park there. They're being used by residents, contractors. The signage basically says for park patrons only, that's basically what they say. What we're proposing to do is run them very similar to what we do with the parks and town hall parking here. There's a couple exceptions that South Channel Park will now be able to use tax decal. You can't use tax decal over here or out here. And basically would allow 2 continuous hours of parking when you're using that permit or tax decal. And over here, if you're using your hang tag, your parking permit, there is no time limitation on the amount of time. And basically, those are the 2 differences than what we do here at the park.
just because I want to understand it, because I get asked this all the time. I think you just said the tax decal, which is, we'll call it the, whatever you want, the sticker, don't work over here.
It does not.
It works in South Harbor Island, North Harbor Island, except but for the park,
Yes.
okay? If you have a hanging tag, you can park over here.
Yes.
You're not gonna get, there's no problem with sticking a 2-hour piece of paper in there.
And we don't do that anymore.
I got,
It's all.
I don't care what it is. I'm trying to understand it so I can
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Same thing with a hanging tag on South Harbor Island North Channel.
At the park, you just get 2 hours period.
I understand. But you said period Does the decal get them in the park?
That might be-
The only one? Okay.
Yes, basically that would
So the
allow,
decal or the hanging tag allows them in the park?
that's the only difference, so that's one
The
difference.
the problem right now, well, hold on, the problem is, as you just said, is, I mean, I've been there now 7 years, and I know there are people that use it that don't live there. They're gonna be able to park there too. You don't have to have a hang tag. Right. Okay, so the hang tag really doesn't matter. Correct. So anybody can park there. If they're a contractor and they park there, number one, they should get a ticket, even if they have a contractor pass.
If they're not at the.
Even if they have a contractor pass, if they're at the park.
We aren't allowed.
Correct, okay, they're not as bad as they used to be, but I hear you, they're bad, but now they park on the street and get a ticket every now and then. But, so, can I ask him a question? Mike,
sir.
is that what, so the problem now is there are, let's say, proximity residents that spend way too much time.
This is the contractors. Every time I go by, I went by there before I came to the meeting.
I hear you.
This
This
is
is
chock
this-
full of contractors.
Okay, the houses are gonna get built and we're gonna go back to what we had. And what we had was people that live in proximity, parking there 24/7. And so the other residents deserve the opportunity to use it. What really happens is people come and they go, use their paddle boards and everything else. But 2 hours is enough time. The fishing people come and they're sitting in the park. They're the only people that are sitting in the park. But the problem, and I'm guilty of it too, is putting your car over there and leaving it 2 days. I have been guilty of it lately, but I think we need, what we said to the neighbors, is we're gonna try this. Your enforcement issue to me is a different issue than this. And I'm beating that drum too, but this I think we ought to try for 1 year, this season, and see how it goes.
And we'll get the proper signage that covers this thing.
Correct. But
So you can do it with a decal in the window or the hanging tag.
Yes.
you can do it without anything, actually. You just don't need to be a contractor. You get 2 hours in the park.
Period, like,
Man, I think that's what I was trying to ask.
Yeah.
And over here you get 2 hours in the park.
I
Unless
never understood.
Unless you have a hanging tag.
Yeah, I've never understood where you can park with a hanging tag. I have a hanging tag.
You
but
can park anywhere you want to that is a metered space at Riceville Beach, except but for the lots that are off the street
Big.
or commercial spots.
or something.
Big lots.
Or
which
South
one?
Linden. Any lot on the beach.
That's
Any
why,
lot, but
Back
not
lot,
like
the
South
bathroom.
Street lot.
Yes, you can't park there.
You can't-
Cannot. L shape. Show Island.
You have to pull off the street into a lot. That's a lot. Salisbury Street is a commercial area,
In the commercial area.
as is,
like wings.
as is downtown, as is this one.
But it's confusing what it reads on it.
It's very confusing when it reads on that. Don't read it, just listen to what I said. Because if you read it, you will be, that's what I told my niece, don't read it, because it's confusing. And he tried to get it fixed this year and didn't get it fixed.
that's what we're talking about, but I'll try again.
You and I just talked about it the other day. If you turn it over and read it, it's confusing.
Motion to
Oh,
accept.
yeah.
That's what she's talking about the back of it.
All right, are we supposed to?
Any other comments, questions, discussion?
Sir. Not unless I get paid.
Motion to accept.
Got a motion to approve
Second.
and a second, all in favor. We'll see how this works out. Mike, like everything else, it's, the whole thing boils down to enforcement, Mike. Nobody's more aware of that than we are. These guys, they've got their job to do, and pivot parking, we were on them a lot harder this week than you would imagine, because of the very thing you were talking about. It was in multiple streets around here. And, now, down there in the south end where I live, contractors got the message. They got their stuff out of the street.
How did they get the message? They get a ticket?
We had the police up there to get it out there.
Yeah.
There's still a few pop.
That was a busy
truck
street,
road,
that's a state road, they're parked in.
But they've,
Mike doesn't get it.
they're doing better now.
But I mean, I can
But
appreciate North
I
Channel.
feel your pain,
Absolutely.
and I'm telling you, we're on it.
Yeah. I mean, I went down North Channel the other day to visit somebody in that street. Of course, it's one way. And I don't go down there often, but I said, man, you can hardly get down that street.
Because everybody's got a
Yeah.
landscaper, everybody has a
Mhm.
HVAC guy there, everybody has, I mean, it's just, everybody's there. I mean, you can do the same thing in Parmley, I mean, the same thing, and Bahama, Bermuda, I mean, people just have that, you know, they'll have no park in front of the house.
No, they don't.
And now they use the street, or they use, you know, the shoulder.
It's okay as long as it's my landscape. It's not okay if it's your landscape.
So what we're trying to do is be consistent, make people get contract passes.
I think that's
And even if they park a little, two wheels on the road or whatever it might be, just try to be consistent, make sure everybody has a good contract pass.
and Mike, I feel the pain too. Tim and I have talked, and I don't think the tree's been delivered, but I mean, I call him and I'll tell him, you know, it's just an issue, I'm just telling you. But they're not bothering me today. My wife can't get out of the driveway. That's when it's a real problem. But I don't wait for him. I'll go deal with it myself. But, you know, I think these guys, the policemen and the ticket people are trying, because we have been on that
Yeah,
last year.
I mean, since Florence, we got a little lax on it because we had so much contract stuff going on. So this year, we're really making a push to try to make the pivots in the around neighborhoods and all of those small streets.
But we just have a ton of construction going on right now.
For sure do.
You yet to see one?
You have to see pivot on Watchung Drive.
I've seen tickets.
On Coral Drive, yes.
I've seen.
All right, let's see.
Okay, let's move on.
I mentioned that, Scott.
Southside Beach access steps on West Fayetteville Street. Who's that? You?
That would be me. I was approached by a resident on West Fayetteville Street, the steps down there, I think I have a picture.
Yeah.
They're not safe. So we blocked those off. They would like to proceed with replacing those. I mean, I did tell them that we would do, you know, whatever routine maintenance there is. And basically, at the time they're deteriorated or, you know, gone because of hurricane, then basically, you know, be a board decision whether they want to replace them or, you know, ask the people in the street to replace it. The cost is estimated about $4,000. That's, they're getting another quote of their own for a contract, but we would oversee all the construction to make sure it fills out specifications. And we've done this before on the streets, we're going to potentially do a lot of them. So, yeah, it's one to move forward.
Is there anything different about this one?
But as a matter of fact, one of the quote we got with is one of the guys that just did the Oxford, and he built similar standards of Oxford.
Because Oxford, I mean, that wasn't, I thought it was just Greensboro and Henderson that we approved so far.
We approved Oxford too.
We did.
A couple months ago. Yeah.
Must have been.
We're in Florida.
Was that one of them? I was in. I didn't miss that meeting.
Is it, are these standards?
Oh, I had COVID.
We tried to make them
I
stand.
participated from my house with COVID.
You know,
We were zooming out.
You were zooming out.
All right.
All I have to say,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I just wanted to match, and then we know we went through this whole thing about coming up with the prototype and improving the prototype and make sure that the spec that we're using to build these steps are consistent.
Yeah.
So as long as it meets that that specification, that threshold, then I'm fine with it.
there are, I mean, there's a couple of things I'd like to try here, that there is on the steps, there's a product that basically grid based, not a wooden type material. I think it would be better and allow water to flow through. We're gonna probably do that on this one.
The brown looking tan stuff.
Yeah, it's like a composite material.
Yeah.
It's something where I think they might try to buy both too, just because it's more slip resistant and, you know, allows water to flow through and less chance for, you know, tide to mess it up. So we're gonna try that.
All right, so you need a motion, go here one.
Yep.
Got a motion there, a second. Got a second, all in favor?
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Tim. Other items and reports. Let's start with Alderman Grove.
All right, I've got a little update from the marketing committee. ROT report through January, Wrightsville Beach ROT is currently up 14.6% for fiscal year 2021 through January. The spring marketing campaign launched mid-February. Given the current research, people are most comfortable visiting beaches during COVID. So obviously y'all seen the traffic. There is a new tourism website. So please check that out. And if anybody's interested, there's a tourism webinar that's going to be held in May. And it's going to probably run during the National Tourism Week, which is May 3rd through 7th. I'll let y'all know the date.
Where's the tourism? How do you, can you get me the URL for the tourism?
Yes, visit WrightsvilleBeachNC.com.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
What's for NPO, Kim, I think we'll probably be ready to at least by June, to have a bicycle, committee update report from the past two mayors and myself.
Absolutely. There was one comment I sent back then, regarding one of the crosswalks, and they haven't got back to me yet.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
just- it's pretty simple.
We want to get that right for you.
Yeah.
Bring it. Okay, that's really all we got.
Okay. Alderman Park.
Well, I did not participate in that call, virtual call. It was actually the executive committee that was actually doing it. And, 'cause I had a conflict, I can't remember. Tim, you said you.
I did.
What, I mean, they were, I guess, discussing the money.
Yeah, they were, and there's still a lot of uncertainty. It's gonna be sent to us, and they're still deciding on how it can be spent, what you can spend it on, and what the process is. And so we get half within probably a month, and another half down the road. I think you got to 2024 to spend it. So at some point, we'll come to you guys and develop a plan, hopefully, once all the requirements are fleshed out a little bit. What we're gonna spend that.
But it was very specific how it.
It was either, it had to be COVID related, or, rent driven type of stuff, or water, sewer, or broadband. There's still been a lot of questions about what that means, even stormwater, this kind of thing. We're still, everybody's still sort of.
Yeah.
Oh. So Mayor, Mr. Mayor, we had a TDA meeting last week. The town money was approved. It asked for, I guess we're getting our money back.
Yeah.
Tim,
You let them hold it.
I'd like to catch up with you on a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that. And as Mr. Groves said, we're a little bit ahead of schedule on TDA funds, so that's good. I just, something that I made Kim, I find, I guess she's got married, Kim Little or something like that. I pointed out to her that on this new website that just came out, that it's still this old logo that I explained to her, that's not our logo anymore. And didn't we like actually make that official? Yes, sir. That's what I thought. Okay. So
Can you talk to her?
I told her that, I explained to her that, this is our town logo, not that, whatever that thing is.
Yeah, whatever.
So, next time you're in passing with her, just remind their web folks to please get us up to speed. Because actually, when you pull that website up, the little logo pops up, that little thing pops up on your computer. So, just a little annoying. That's it.
All right. Couple things. First, we're gonna have a closed session after we finish here, so be prepared to stay around. Mr. Eads will discuss all that with us. Second, on Portsmouth Norway, typically would meet the day before this meeting occurs, but that did not happen. So Portsmouth Norway will meet next week, so I have nothing to report on that right now. Other than I have had a conversation with Congressman, and he gave me some encouraging news, but nothing to take to the bank relative to funding. So he believes significant progress has been made to get us back on the program, but there's nothing official or final about that. So that's where we are. All right, Mr. Eads, anything?
The items I have are for closed session.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Owens?
Couple things, basically, the bathrooms of the boardwalk are being, not boardwalk, here, the trolley stop are being completed. They're a little behind schedule. We're sort of in stresses, and then they need to catch up. I don't want to get into Memorial Day. The date for them to finish, I think, was the 17th. We had a lot of rain there, so I'm hoping they progress a little faster. And
17th.
in May.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's starting to get busy around there too. Got traffic up here, parking sort of jammed up. But anyway, so we're moving on that. I think it'll look nice and it'll be very funny.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes, sir.
Is there a point when, once they get the major, which I think they've got most of the big stuff done, can we move that barrier back up, maybe where we can get our parking back at least?
I've talked to them about the need to minimize that.
Yeah.
I don't know, if I might go get 3 or 4 back.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's talk every week we talk about.
I mean, at least
this.
maybe,
When it gets busier.
Right, about midnight.
These guys need their parking, and
Right.
we need the revenue, so, yeah.
I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it just so we can let other people know. There's the opportunity to go and reopen the bathroom that we had is out the window.
Yeah, there's been demo. Well, I've had a couple concerns from some of the retail guys up there, because the restaurants, there are no restaurants up there. I'm sort of exploring other options, but they're expensive, you know, the other project I'm working on is Myrtle Court, they've started, they're doing a lot of demo there, running a bunch of lines, they're hitting and things like that, they're progressing on that. Channel Sweeney is nearing completion. That was the primary project we wanted to focus on first, we're focusing on the other ones too, with engineering and those type of things, getting those out, as we get them. Heel bulkhead over there, and that final project over there, that's nearing completion as well. Coral Drive, we're waiting on the state to finalize, give us the green light on funding, and then that will be bid out. So I'm hoping to hear back in a couple or 3 weeks, hopefully, and we can bid that out, move forward with that. We did have Lieutenant Garner pass away the other day, and tomorrow is at 11 o'clock. There's a ceremony for guys that get paid. It's gonna be over here in front of the public safety building. We have a budget meeting next week too. Make sure that's on the calendar for
8:30 or 14.
yes, sir.
How about the street in South Live Oak? You got an update from them?
I have not. I was emailing Kyle. I think there's a little bit short on the funds.
A little bit there, 28,000 or something,
That was what they needed. I think.
and I know they're at 20, they were 23.
So that's sort of on them to move forward with that whenever they're ready to. I just asked them to give us a couple weeks notice so we can do the rip rap stuff.
Town clerk. So, do I hear?
Yes, sir. I make the motion. We go into closed session. Hold on. Closed session for attorney-client privilege discussion pursuant to PS 143.3.318.11.
A3.
That's
And
it.
I second.
I'm second.
And just for the minutes, the 2 pieces of pending litigation, we are required to name the parties. First case is Shell Island HOA versus the Town of Whiteville Beach. Second case, WB Waterman LLC versus the Town of Whiteville Beach.
We're going into closed session. If everyone.
Did we go? All those in favor?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You guys, you want to go down the conference room down there? Just- It's not on my state.
Oh, I don't. We can. I'll make, I'll picture that. Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
Yes. I'm thinking.